Hello, welcome. In this video, I'm going to be talking about some books I am thinking about reading in the month of February. During February, which is Black History Month here in America, I like to prioritize reading Black authors, even though all the books I have on my list this month are not necessarily by Black authors. Most of them are. So I'll just start. The first book that I've already kind of started is Invisible Man by Ralph Ellison. I went into this book not really knowing much of what it is about. All I knew was that it was a classic and that people say it's really good. And so what I'm thinking it's about is this Black man who is looking back on his life. And I think through this, we're going to learn how he came to be where he is in the present day, or at least what I believe is the present day. So thus far, I am enjoying it. I wanted to read you the first paragraph because that's what made me purchase this book. Because like I said, I didn't know anything about it. It says, I'm an invisible man. No, I'm not a spook like those who hunted Edgar Allan Poe, nor am I one of your Hollywood movie ectoplasms. I'm a man of substance, of flesh and bone, fiber and liquids, and I might even be said to possess a mind. I am invisible, understand, simply because people refuse to see me, like the bodiless heads you see sometimes in circus sideshows. It is as though I have been surrounded by mirrors of hard, distorting glass. When they approach me, they see only my surroundings, themselves, or figments of their imagination. Indeed, everything and anything except me. So I read that and in the store and I was like, I think I'll like this book. And I am enjoying it thus far. I'm on page 172, about this much of the way through, and I have tabbed it this much already. It seems to be easing up a little bit, but especially in the beginning, there were definitely very heavy moments. And so I'm actually testing out something this month because I'm a person who generally reads one book at a time, but I'm seeing if I can pair like heavier reads with lighter reads. So when I was reading heavier moments in this book, after I read them, I put this down and I wanted to pick up a lighter book to kind of lighten the mood. And I picked up Terry McMillan's Waiting to Exhale, which I am enjoying. I think this is going to be a fun book to read. This is my main book, but like I said, I'm picking this up when I need moments of lightness. But after I finish this will become my main book. And in this, you're just following four friends as they are like navigating the dating world, love, relationships. And yeah, I'm enjoying it. I know this from the movie. But the thing that comes to mind is like this was written in the 90s, and I feel like people today would be saying probably the same things about relationships. But yeah, I'm enjoying this thus far. And I'm also considering getting the sequel to this. That's how much I'm liking it. So that's another book I want to read this month. And then I have Paradise by Toni Morrison. Once I read this would be the third Toni Morrison that I've read. I feel like I'm reading her backwards. I think when I hear most people talk about Toni Morrison, they talk about like The Bluest Eye, Beloved, Sula, and I haven't read any of those. I've read Love and I've read God Help the Child, and I enjoyed both of them. I especially enjoyed God Help the Child. And I don't know, this one was just calling to me. I also don't know much about what this is about. I just know I read the first few paragraphs, and I believe it was two Black men were breaking into a convent and attacking the nuns. And I had so many questions right off the back. So Yeah, I think it like alluded to maybe like something shady going down at the convent, but I am interested to see like where the story goes. I'm interested to see why it's titled Paradise. And so, yeah, I'm looking forward to reading this month. But I think that if it's in the same fashion as the other two books that I've read, it will definitely have heavy moments. So I'm also looking to read Gotta Keep on Trying by two of my favorite authors. They have quickly and easily become two of my favorite authors, Virginia DeBerry and Donna Grant. This, I believe, is actually a sequel to Trying to Sleep in the Bed You've Made. So I won't tell you what this book is about because I don't want to give anything away. But in that one, you basically have two friends who are like best friends when they're younger, and they have a falling out and they are seemingly strangers as adults. And so you are seeing, like, you're getting like the backstory of what happened, and you're seeing them kind of rekindle their friendship, and also them kind of leaning on each other as they kind of deal with kind of troubles in their individual lives. And I really enjoyed that book. There were some unanswered questions that I'm looking forward to being answered in this. And yeah, you can't go wrong. Can't go wrong with Virginia DeBerry and Donna Grant. Like, if you just want a good story with Black characters that's not centered around race, they are your jam. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this. This will be the fourth book I've read by them. And I think they only have published 6 books. So I have to take them slowly because I don't have that much from them to consume. But yes, I definitely want to read this. And then a book that's kind of off theme. In December, I started reading or rereading the series of Unfortunate Events. I probably read up to book 10 when I was younger. And last year I did like a series like Feeding My Inner Child, where I was rereading books I liked when I was a child. And this is kind of part of that because I really, really enjoyed them, even though I only read up to book 10. But like I was saying, I read the first book in December, The Bad Beginning, and then I read the second book in January, The Reptile Room, and then in February I want to read the third book, which is The Wide Window. And this series, you're just following the Boulder, I think that's their name, the Boulder siblings, and their parents like tragically die in a fire that also destroys their home, and they are put with a relative who is out to steal their fortune that was left by their parents. And so you're just seeing all the different like escapades and shenanigans that they get into. These are really fun. I can read this in like a day. It's really not super like complex or hard to read. And one thing with rereading books, like young adult books and children's books last year, that I really, really loved is how they incorporate vocabulary in very obvious ways that I just find so amusing. Because when I was younger, I don't feel like I picked up on that. But yeah, these are just like a fun light read that I want to read this month. I also picked up in the library the first book in the Chronicles of Narnia by C.S. Lewis. I don't feel like I've ever read the Chronicles of Narnia. So this was near, well, it wasn't super near, but it was in the same area as the third book that I was picking up from the library of the series of Unfortunate Events. So I said, it's not that long. Maybe I'll like it. So I may or may not get to this. Pretty much the books I mentioned thus far, minus this one, are books that I think I can get to and read in February. The ones I'm following are kind of like maybes. So like this is a maybe. Also, if I'm feeling like I want some nonfiction, I have this edition of essays by James Baldwin, this Everyman's Library edition, and it includes The Fire Next Time, Nobody Knows My Name, No Name in the Street, and The Devil Finds Work. I actually read The Fire Next Time like a few years ago, but I can reread it. I did kind of like start reading a little bit in this. I read the introduction, and he opens with a letter to his nephew, and I've read that, and so I'm just on the first essay. Um, but yeah, if I'm just feeling a little bit of nonfiction, I will pick this up. I really love, I think Everyman's Library is becoming one of my favorite editions of books. It's just like the paper just feels so like creamy, and they come with built-in bookmarks, and they're like cloth bound, and I'm not a person who really cares about certain editions of books as long as the book isn't heavily written in or highlighted and is like not falling apart. I'm pretty happy because I'm a used book person. But I realized I really like these editions when last year I read the Cairo trilogy, and I got an Everyman's Library edition, and it was such a nice reading experience. And then I was in the used bookstore and I got this book for $5. And if you know, these editions are not like super cheap. So I felt like this was a really good find, and I'm gonna keep a lookout, even though I haven't seen many editions of Everyman's Library in the used bookstore. So, but yeah, if I want to pick up some nonfiction, I'll pick this up. And then finally, I have Roots by Alex Haley. This is a slave narrative. I'm not a big slave narrative person. They just make me sad and angry, and I don't see it as an enjoyable read necessarily. But I know that this is like following, like you're seeing the start where a family began, but like you know that in future generations, people in that family are going to go on to do great things. So I'm hoping it has like a positiveness at the end. But yes, I just feel like as a reader and a Black person, I should just read Roots once in my life. I feel like it's going to be one of those type of books where I'm going to read it, I'm going to think it's profound, but I never want to read it again. That's kind of how I felt about Native Son. So I feel like I'm going to feel the same way about this. I may or may not get to this. It honestly just depends on how I feel after reading Invisible Man, because I know last year when I read Native Son, like I wasn't in the mood for certain books after that, and yeah, that was just really heavy. So we'll see where this goes. When I started reading this, I actually thought of when I started reading Invisible Man, I actually thought of Native Son, because when I read Native Son by Richard Wright, it was like a visceral, like, oh my gosh, like feeling, and it was heavy. But this is heavy, but it's heavy in a different way. I feel like it's like a softer heavy. It's a heavy that like you can read something, but then if you really sit with it, it's like a deeper soul heavy, like even deeper than like Native Son. Like Native Son is like it's like a surface, like, oh my gosh, but this is like a deep heavy. That's my thoughts, only 171 pages in. So I say that to say, depending on how I feel after reading this, I may or may not even feel like picking up Roots. So yeah, those are pretty much, let's see if I can show you all of these. The two randoms. These are pretty much the books I'm planning on reading in February or have on my radar for Black History Month. And then I also have these two young adults, which are kind of like outliers, but yeah, I'm curious if you have any plans of what you want to read in February. or if you've read any of these books, how did you like them? No spoilers. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.